So, SM Investment Corporation, it has item, current year, previous year, change in amount, change in percentage. So this is the balance sheet. Let's start with the current assets. For the current year 2021, it has 361,549,410 pesos. And for the previous year, it has 306,367,530 pesos. The change in amount is 55,181,880 pesos. Change in percentage is 18.1%. To get the change in amount, you must subtract the current year from the previous year. So, and to get the change in percentage, you must divide the change in amount from the previous year and multiply it by 100. So that is why it is resulted in 18.1%. So next is the total assets. For the current year, it has 1,481,884,566 pesos. For the previous year, it has 1,362,806,980 pesos. And the change in amount is 119,077,586 pesos. The change in percentage is 8.70. It follows the same procedure. To get the change in amount, subtract the current year from the previous year. To get the change in percentage, divide the change in amount into the previous year and multiply it by 100. Next is current liabilities. 293,025,159 pesos for the current year 2021, and for the previous year 2020, it has 261,628,704 pesos change in amount, and the change in amount is 31,396,455 pesos, and the change in percentage is 12%. And it follows the same procedure of the computing. And the next is total liabilities. For the current year 2021, it has 789,694,555 pesos. For the previous year 2020, it has 739,198,795 pesos. And the change in amount is 50,495,760 pesos. And the percentage change the percentage is 6.81. Next is retained earnings. For the current year 2021, it has 412,463,837 pesos. For the previous year 2020, it has 358,337,881 pesos. Change in amount is 54,125,946 pesos. And change in percentage is 15.11. Next is stockholders' equity. For the current year 2021, it has 692,190,011 pesos. In the previous year 2020, it has 623,608,185 pesos. Change in amount 65,581,226 pesos, and the change in percentage is 10.98. Stockholders' equity to parent. For the current year 2021, it has 496,888,912 pesos. For the previous year 2020, it has 447,604,582 pesos. Change in amount, which is 49,284,330 pesos, and the change in percentage is 11.1. And the last but not the least is for balance sheet, the last is book value per share. Current year 406.6, previous year 371.6, and change in amount is 35. and the change in percentage is 9.42.
Hi everyone, here's a breakdown of the provided comparative income statement for the years 2020 and 21. Gross revenue increase of 28.8%. This represents the total revenue generated by the company before deducting any expenses. Gross expense increase of 23.41%. This represents the total expenses incurred by the company before accounting for taxes and other deductions. Income before tax increase of 55.75%. This represents the company's earnings before accounting for taxes. Net income after tax, it increase of 54.35%. This represents the company's earnings after accounting of taxes. Net income attributable to parent, increase of 52.56%. This represents the portion to the net income that belongs to the parent company. Earnings per share, this represents the company's earnings per share, both basic and diluted basis. In both 2020 and 2021, the basic and diluted earnings per share were 50.88 and showed an increase of 17.33 or 51.65%. Overall, the comparative statement indicates that the company experienced significant growth in revenue, income before tax, net income after tax, net income attributable to the parent, and earnings per share from 2020 to 2021, indicating a positive trend in its financial performance.
So hello everyone, in debt to debt equity ratio, 789,694,555 divided by 692,190,011 equals 1.14. As we can see in the balance sheet, total liabilities and stockholders' equity in the current year, so they just got divided. The both got divided because in this ratio, we should show how much the debt a company has compared to its assets.
Liquidity. Current ratio 361 million and 549,410 PHP divided by 293 million 25,000 and 159 PHP. It equals 1.23. Liquidity is the ability for every buyer to find a seller and every seller to find a buyer so that the trading activity can remain consistent and reliable.
I'm going to discuss the profitability on SM Investment Corporation. And there are three topics under profitability. First is profit margin. So to get the profit margin, we need to divide the net income after tax divided by gross revenue. So 84,345,373 divided by 553,771,115, and that is equals to 0.15 or 15%. And next is return on equity. To get the return on equity, you need to divide the net profit after tax divided by stockholders equity. So 84,345,373 divided by 692,190,011 pesos, and that is 0.12 or 12% on return on equity. And the last one is the return on asset. So to get the return on asset, it's the same formula. You need to divide the net income after tax divided by total asset. So 84,345,377 divided by 1,481,884,566, and that is 0.6 or 6% in return on assets.
In the interpretation, the liquidity is based on the available data that current ratio of 1.23 suggested moderate liquidity, meaning the company has enough current asset to cover short-term liabilities. In solvency, it is the debt to equality ratio of 1.14 indicate slightly higher debt than equity, but it's still within the manageable range. Lastly, in profitability, the profit margin of 15% and ROE of 12% demonstrate good profitability. However, ROA is 16% suggests profitability could be improved relative to total asset.
Profits. First is the profit margin. Measures the percentage of revenue that turns into profit after all expenses have been deducted. Profit margin of 15% means that the company is generating a good level of profit relative to its revenue. And return on equity, or ROE, measures the profitability of a company relative to its shareholders. So the ROE overall, this means that the company is performing well. The company is generating a great return for its shareholders, for both shareholders, their investment in the company. This means that there next is still room for improvement. Return on assets, the ROI, measures how much is the profit the company gets relative to its total assets. The ROA of 6% indicates that the company is generating a moderate level of profit from their assets. So overall, the company is getting